you and I have compensated or fixed this gap of space beneath our footer twice. This will be the third time and the final time. So, really, you should be okay doing this on your own, but in the event that you're at a loss to remember how to fix this, what I'm going to do, once again, is I'm going to head back to my external style sheet. I'll drop my cursor in here, and it's going to be footer nav, so it's a compound rule. And once again, you can refer back to your HTML if you don't remember this, or if you're a little foggy on exactly what we're doing here. So it's a nav element inside the footer element. These are both HTML5 elements. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to say margin-bottom, and I will say nothing, just 0. Not 0px, that's a little bit redundant. We can just go 0 by itself. By the way, if you're sitting there going, why do we keep compensating for this space? We've done this twice already. Here we're doing it a third time. Why do we have to keep doing it? It's because we have a nav element that we've gone and redefined, and that nav element has a margin bottom of 10 pixels. That's where the gap of space is coming from. So we have to have the gap of space on the nav towards the top of our layout to push the content down, this gap of space right here. But what we're saying is that we don't want that gap of space on the other nav element. So the only way to do that is to use a compound rule to say, all right, I don't want any space beneath my nav, but only if it appears inside the footer. That's what we're saying. So again, it's sort of like conditional formatting. I was explaining this earlier on. If these criteria are met, if there's a nav inside a footer, then do this to it. That's basically what we're saying. So once again, go ahead and save up your external style sheet, and you can head back to your browser and refresh, and voila, the space is now gone because the conditional rule that we just set up has been satisfied. Now, more importantly, this concludes the wireframing process not only for our low-resolution media query, but also for the medium resolution layout or the medium resolution media query, and also, of course, for the high-resolution layout or the high-resolution media query. Just like that. Perfect. Good stuff. So at this stage of the game, what we'd want to do is we'd want to perhaps upload this to a live web server if it's not there already, or show it to our boss or our client, schedule a meeting, show it to them either on our laptop or on an iPad or something like this and say, this is what it's going to look like. Or let them pull up this layout on their iPhone, or let them pull it up on their laptop and say, this is how it's going to look on these different devices. Or if you want, you could just grab a browser window and start scaling it for them. And this wireframing process, for me, is crucial because it's at this stage of the game where I say, is this what you want? Usually they say things like, but I wanted blue text, or I wanted the logo in there towards the top left corner, or, I wanted these photographs. And you go, yeah, I know. We're going to get to that stage. That's the next step in the phase. This is like the blueprints, if you will, for the layout. This is the raw structure of the layout. Is this what you wanted? And they may come back with, well, actually, we only want 2 of these boxes, not 3. Perfect. This is where we want to catch stuff like that. Or this news feed, I've decided I don't want to have that in there. Can we remove that? Yeah, sure, no problem. Or can we insert a sidebar running down the right-hand side of the layout? Yeah, sure, no problem. This is the point in the overall design phase where we want to catch all of these structural changes and sort of nail down a final structure and get sign-off on this final structure before we start designing. The metaphor that I use is we want to decide on the structure of the building that we're going to create before we start picking out paint swatches. Like, we can go and decide what color we're going to paint the dining room, but if we haven't decided exactly where the dining room's going to go and how large it's going to be, and is it going to be off the living room or off the kitchen, and how's that going to work, then there's no point in deciding ahead of time what color it's going to be. We want the structure first, then we'll worry about furniture placement and what we're going to hang on the walls and all that kind of stuff. So we want sign-off on the wireframe, then we can move on to the next step in the phase, which of course is my favorite step in the design phase, which is of course applying formatting to our layout.